here in the heartland. This is the working man. These are the fields of dreams of American. No, you can't take that away, 'cause I wanna stay here in the heartland. I'm here in the heartland.
Welcome back to this week's episode of Why Iowa. And as first semester is wrapping up across the state in our schools, we'd like to recap the first 16 episodes of Why Iowa, where we have equal evaporation and equal precipitation. This is the perfect environment for the tall grass prairie. Now, the dominant grass of the tall grass prairie was the big bluestem. If you come down to Des Moines, you look at the capital, it sits up high. That's the southern tip of the Des Moines Lobe. And that last glacier that pushed through gave us our 5 largest natural lakes, which include. And in 1846, Iowa became a state, with our name deriving from the Iowa. Now, the frontier myth of the definition of Iowa is beautiful land. But the real definition of the Iowa is those who separate it. Just south of Ames and eventually over to present-day Boone, where they took the Des Moines River up into present-day northeast Hamilton County. From there, they took a northeast path. And another goal of this expedition was to meet with Chief Wabasha of the Sioux up near present-day Winona, Minnesota. We had one of the largest number of state parks in our state of any state in the Union. Today, Iowa has over 83 state parks and recreation areas consisting of over 53,000 acres. I'm going to talk to you about the Spirit Lake Massacre that occurred on March 8th of 1857. Nearly 38 settlers perished and 4 were taken prisoner. 2 diplomats from the United States come over, offering money to purchase New Orleans. Napoleon seizes the opportunity and says, hey, how about buying the whole Louisiana claim for $15 million? Unfortunately, George never had the opportunity to compete for a conference championship while at the University of Iowa. Though he was the top golfer on the team in 30 and 31, the course in which the conference championships were being played would deny access based on the color of your skin. Whether you visit the historic Julian Inn, which was reportedly owned by Al Capone and was his getaway from Chicago, or you can go and explore where over 250 years ago Julian Dubuque would have settled, in the Mines of Spain recreation area. While at Notre Dame, on a story of Iowa interest, Elmer Layton developed a series between the University of Iowa and the Fighting Irish. And in 1938, the Hawkeyes, led by Niall Kinnick, would defeat the University of Notre Dame 7-6. But the biggest change to happen to volleyball for the state of Iowa was in 1991, when the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union moved the state volleyball tournament to downtown Cedar Rapids at the U.S. Cellular Center. And this is the day of the Palawan Massacre. When Glenn McDowell looked out of his trench, he noticed that they had set up a perimeter, and soon the massacre was going to take place, and of the 139 men that day, only 11 would survive. And also the first documented African-American athlete in the state of Iowa. In 1896, the Iowa Hawkeyes would hire Alfred E. Bohl as the new Iowa football coach. And one of the first things he would do was move Kenny Holbrook to halfback. Dome has housed numerous commencements, concerts ranging from Pink Floyd to Willie Nelson, and some of the biggest games in our state have been played under their roof.
Hardly anybody thought Gotch could beat him. Gotch weighed about 198 to 200. Hackenschmidt was about 220. Gotch rope-a-doped him just like Muhammad Ali did to George Foreman in Zaire.
They would defeat Marshalltown 35-17 in that state championship game, and also be the first Iowa basketball team to go undefeated in the season with a record of 33-0. As a reminder to all our visitors, all Iowa students have free admission to the Iowa Hall of Pride thanks to Musco Lighting. The Iowa Hall of Pride would like to say congratulations to Dan Gable as a recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom. We've been fortunate to have Dan Gable down at the Iowa Hall of Pride several times over the last couple of years, and he's been gracious enough to stay later and visit with us and tell us many stories about wrestling at the University of Iowa, about his career. One of the times that stands out to me when I think about Dan Gable, though, is for 2 years the Iowa Hall of Pride hosted the NAIA weigh-ins for the national championships here. And Dan Gable was present at both to visit with wrestlers from all across the country. And the 1 year we're standing here and Mr. Gable's here visiting, and the first team came in, and they're in our wrestling display and they see the statue of Dan Gable. And they walk over there, and one of the kids made a comment, oh, Dan Gable, yeah, where's he at today? And no sooner did he say that, Mr. Gable walked over and said, gentlemen, how you doing? And these guys turned around and they were in awe. They were in his presence. Dan Gable has done so much for the sport of wrestling, but more importantly, he has developed so many young men in this sport that has carried over into their programs, into their colleges, into their high schools. So thank you, Dan Gable. Job well done.
Welcome back to High School Spotlight, where we highlight a high school athlete every week and recognize their achievements. This week features Anaya Barney, who plays basketball and runs track at Cedar Falls High School. This past basketball season, she averaged 17.3 points and 7 rebounds and helped the Cedar Falls basketball team get back to Wells Fargo at the state basketball tournament. She also ran in the Drake Relays as a sophomore and competed in the 400-meter hurdles and the shuttle hurdle relay. Anaya chose to stay home and committed to UNI to play basketball, where both her parents also played sports. I asked her who she looked up to, who has impacted her the most at Cedar Falls, and what advice she would give her younger self. This is what she said.
In my time at Cedar Falls, I would say that my head basketball coach, Greg Groen, has impacted me the most. From being a little girl going to basketball camps to playing for him during my high school career, he's always helped me to gain more confidence in myself and my abilities, and he's always pushed me out of my comfort zone to develop my game. And there are so many things that he has taught me and my teammates over the years being with him that I'll be able to take with me and not only translate them on the basketball court, but also take them into my everyday life. I've always looked up to my older sister, Kiana. She's had a lot of the same goals that I have now, whether it's in basketball or outside of basketball, and she's accomplished a lot of them, so just having her as like a mentor along my way in my life has been really, really awesome. She's had her setbacks, but she always finds a way to find the good or look on the bright side of those situations, and that really, really inspires me. If I could give my younger self advice, it would be that all the long hours and summers spent with a ball in your hand or watching basketball are worth it, and the few sleepovers or hanging out with friends that you might had to miss out on because of a basketball game or tournament don't really matter in the long run, because basketball is going to bring you people and experiences that you'll cherish forever, and your dream of being a D1 basketball player is not as far away as you might think.
Just want to give a big thanks to Anaya for speaking with me this week, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you so much for tuning in each week to the episode of Why Iowa, and we've enjoyed being able to serve our schools and serve our communities and telling the great story of our state. Be sure and like and subscribe. Keep those subscriptions coming on our channel, and we're going to keep feeding you the content throughout the year.